Hi, the purpose of this video is to show how to use a spreadsheet which takes a KML file, intersects it with a raster service, and calculates the statistics of the raster within a KML file's footprint. So basically, you take this Excel file, you open it up. When it opens, it will ask you to enable active content. There'll be a little banner up at the top, and you just click Enable. You go to the Data tab and hit Refresh All. When you do that, it should update the path and the file with the name of the file path and the name of this file. These are used in a script. You type in a server name. Over here I have a list of ArcGIS image servers that the Forest Inventory and Analysis program uses. This particular one is from this list. I just pasted it here, but you could put in your own. It has to have the same syntax. In other words, the same sort of structure ending in image server here, because this is again a text string which gets parsed and put into the program. I'll show you in a minute. So when you've got all that done and you've saved the KML file that you create in Google Earth Pro, it will generate a web service API call, and it will bring back the information that you're interested in, which is, in our example here, the count, the maximum value, the mean, the median, the minimum value, standard deviation, and the sum of the raster values. And some of these might not be relevant based on whatever the raster is. In the case of this carbon map we're using, I think it's the sum that's of interest, because I believe that it's a per pixel carbon in that raster. But that's up to you to decide based on whatever raster service you use. So the way this works is in Google Earth Pro, I created a KML file. And we can zoom into an arbitrary area, just some random place, and we can draw a KML. So I will use this tool, which is a polygon drawing tool, make a big old KML file, and I'll just call it file, I'll name it something specific, file 2. Okay. And if I right click it here and I say save place as, it will prompt me. The default is KMZ, but I'll choose a KML. I'm going to save this thing inside a directory where I've got this Excel file saved. That's important. The KML file you make has to be in the same directory as the Excel file. So file2.kml, I'll save it. So I've got my area of interest, and this could be a farmer's land holdings of interest. So I then open the file, and then presumably I will get that security banner, and I'll say enable. I will hit the refresh all button, and what it's doing is it is going into that directory, finding anything with a KML file extension, with a .kml extension. It's turning the KML file into a series of latitude-longitude pairs, which are the vertices of the KML. It is then taking that set of latitude-longitude pairs as a text string, putting it into the correct format for a API call. And if you're familiar with ArcGIS server API calls, you basically, for example, it uses this function, the compute statistics histograms, and this URL string is what gets sent to the server, and the data are extracted. So the geometry is what I'm doing is what I'm constructing by parsing this KML file. It sticks it into the URL string, which then gets sent to the server and returns JSON, which is just the data of interest, which is the compute statistics histograms function results. So I've added that KML file. I hit refresh all. The first time you do this, you might get a little box that pops up that says, oh, what do you want to do about privacy? And you have to click ignore privacy concerns or something like that. That's just some function. I don't understand how to turn that off, but anyway, I just hit the ignore privacy and it works. So now that I have refreshed all, I'll go to the web service tab and I should see the 3 KML files. One of them is a copy of the other one, the results of that. So I go to the web service results page, and again, depending upon what's going on with the server, once you hit refresh all, sometimes it'll be several minutes. And and again, that's another issue with the program. It doesn't really tell you what it's doing, so you might think that there's some problem. Sometimes it'll say, cannot connect to remote server. If you retry refresh all a couple times, eventually it will return this column. So file2.kml. How do we interpret this? That's that KML I loaded, and these are these are a KML and a copy of the same KML, just as a test. The zonal statistics, in other words, the statistics of the raster, this is that forest carbon raster, within that KML that I just drew, are that there are 11,000 pixels in there. The maximum value is 82.23, the mean is 26.7, the median is 24.89, etc. And these other 2 KMLs that I also had in that directory, I get the same statistics. So just so you know what's going on in the background, you can click on this URL string, and if we just copy that, and we can paste it over into a browser, and what we get is this is the actual file displayed as a CSV that has the same data that go into those columns in the spreadsheet. So basically the spreadsheet takes these results and puts them into a nicely formatted format. So obviously once it's in a tabular format, it's easy to extract these, and we can rename the columns if we want to programmatically so that it looks prettier. But those are the functions of this.